right, play the game, win it life, have no shame.
Yes, here we are again. Hello, YouTube, Twitter, and
Hello,
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yes, Hot Tea with Pleasure coming to you live. It is Saturday at 8 p.m. We're not live today, we're recorded because Teresa has to do an out of town event. And so it's best that we just record for you so that you do not miss a dime.
This is
So
true.
that's right. I'm Hillary in Ontario, Canada.
And I'm Teresa in the beautiful island of Barbados. Welcome, welcome to Hot
Welcome,
Tea
welcome.
with Pleasures.
Yep, we keep it raw, real, and
You keep lubricated.
that's right. We believe in purpose, passion, and pleasure, baby. So, what do we have today to talk about?
Today we have our topic is part two of meal abuse, the missing link.
Oh, before we go any further,
So,
hold it. Disclaimer,
mhm.
please. Disclaimer.
our, dis- our disclaimer is we are not medical practitioners.
Mm-mm.
All the information that we bring to you have been researched.
Or we just like talk. We just like talking.
All the information, listen to me, focus here. All the information we bring to you have been researched. We have found it online. We have evidence about what we are saying.
Or I've worked in
And some
in
of
the
them are
field.
experiences that have happened
Yeah,
within our circle.
that's right. It's
So,
our experiences, and
yes.
yeah. So don't write us, but do write us.
Oh gosh, Hillary, I can see someone is gonna tell you something with this podcast is over.
Whatever.
So if this is your first time, we welcome you.
Well,
If this is not your first time, we also welcome you.
that's right. And
So
remember
you can
to
like, comment, and subscribe.
hit that button, baby.
Yep, thumbs up.
All right. So we had a lot of feedback from our last episode when it came
Mm-hmm.
to the missing link, dealing with abused men or males. And a lot of people reached out to us privately and wanted to either speak on behalf of being a survivor of abuse or currently going through the situation, or the abuser also called. Had we had conversations with them, and
Mm-hmm.
the conversation needs to be had more. It's one of those things that we as society do not talk about. We don't acknowledge. It's very, very rare that we have conversation about it, but it one in every three men have been in some sort of violent or sexually
Abusive
abusive
relationship.
relationship, and most of 95% of those are by the aggressor as a female. So we're going to continue that conversation, and we're going to look at it from the teen point of view perspective,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of teen boys are in abusive relationships, and us as parents or community members, and when I say parents, I mean any person that you see in the community and you're a supportive member of or two,
Mm-hmm.
you are also their parent, and seeing an aggressive situation, not getting involved. Getting involved doesn't mean you go in there and stir things up
Right.
more or whatever. No, it means that you you can have a conversation with that person, or be a witness, eyewitness. Those are ways of getting involved safely, because we want to be safe. Okay.
Can you create a safe haven for that individual, or you
There's a lot of
don't?
resources. You can always reach out to them, get some advice.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's as a teen they have parent if they have a parent situation, you can always reach out to the parent and have that conversation with them, tell them what you
Mm-hmm.
observed, and you know and then there's always leaders in the community that you can go to and maybe get some help for that teen. But unfortunately, that because it's a female being the aggressor, a lot of in a lot of situations the male is not taken seriously, or
The male
he
is
himself.
ashamed
Yeah.
to.
Well, shame is
Mhm.
one of the biggest part of abuse. You know, when it comes to abuse, that's the main thing that keeps people in an abusive relationship, or is shame and financial. So, but we're keeping it on the teenagers. I'm going to hand it over to you, Teresa, to talk about physical and mental abuse and emotional abuse, and then I'm going to go into the sexual side.
Okay. But first off, let me say to you guys, our listeners, abuse is never okay.
Never
It's never
okay.
okay.
Never.
No matter if you are the abuser, if you're the one that's the victim, or if you're the one that's on the outside looking in, it's never okay.
I don't want to call them
So,
victims. I want to call them survivors.
okay, survivors,
Mm-hmm.
because after our discussion, we are hoping that this gives anyone that know of someone or the individual that is listening might be happening to that individual. We're doing this so that it gives you that encouragement to step away from or step out. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Or
Good. So
seek help.
therefore,
Seek help so it can be done safely, as safely as possible, because you never know how things can get. Right?
we're not asking you to go in there and part fights and
Nope.
get involved. Okay. So there are four types of domestic violence. But before we go further, there's a new phrase or new
Mm-hmm.
acronym for domestic violence. It's IPV, which
Mm-hmm.
is intimate partner violence.
Yeah.
And the reason behind this, Hillary, is
Because there's all different types of genders, and abuse happens right across the board.
so intimate partner violence. You have
Mm-hmm.
four main ones: the physical, the sexual, the psychological aggression, and the stalking.
Mm.
Okay, so
Stop
the
showing up at the man's
physical.
house at 2 o'clock in the morning talking about you checking to see if he's cheating. You know who you are.
That's so true. And a lot of people don't see that as illegal, but it is illegal.
It is illegal, and
It is
it's
illegal.
also psychologically damaged if the person sees you,
Mhm.
especially. Yeah.
Okay, the physical, we all would be likely to be familiar with the physical, which is the use of force. It's the hitting, it's the kicking, it's the choking, it's the dragging across the kitchen floor when
It's the slaps.
stuff like that there.
The slaps.
Mm-hmm.
Teenage girls are good with slapping,
The
right?
slapping.
Slapping, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Pinching, biting.
And
Mm-hmm.
the what, Hillary? Biting?
Biting, girl.
Okay. I have not experienced that biting part, but Hillary, that's another topic.
Wait, what?
The next one is sexual
You
abuse,
telling a whole
which
lot of
is
stories here,
force,
but anyways, go
which
on.
is forcing another to take part in sexual activity. Now, this sexual activity isn't only physical intercourse,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also
Penetration.
what they call you take your phone, sex texting. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
they have those emojis that you slap the fruit, the cheek, or the boxy jingles. You receiving those, the eggplant that you send out to persons.
Mm-hmm.
We know those emojis that have these indications that, yeah, I want to do this, or this won't happening to you.
If it's
That too
uninvited, it is not
is
okay.
sexting.
Mm-hmm.
That is abuse.
Mm-hmm.
The sharing of photos, sharing of videos.
Mm-hmm. That's a big one.
So
That's a huge
we
one.
know how our teens like to be on their phone, and
Mm-hmm.
if they have a new pair of shoes, new hat, new haircut, we always like to be in front of the camera, take pictures, and be in one of the face.
Teresa, did you know
Uh-huh.
that a lot of teen suicide is because of videos
Yes.
that were shared,
Videos,
or
pictures that were
pictures of
shown.
nudity that was shown and
Mm-hmm.
shared to classmates or online?
Our teens, we aren't nice to each other when we get ready.
Mm-hmm.
We aren't nice to each other. And when you take a picture of someone that you were once in a relationship with, and then you share that picture, you know how damaging that is?
Mm-hmm.
You know how humiliated that is for that person? So that too is a form of abuse,
Yeah,
somewhat
because
like bullying.
mm-hmm.
So, you know, maybe
Just think of the
protect
word right
plan for
there.
it.
Whenever
Mm-hmm.
the whenever just think of it. When that person took that picture, that photo or video or whatever, it was an intimate situation of privacy that they were sharing with you in that moment. And you now have taken, because you're upset or broken up or you think it's funny or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you've now decided, I'm going to take that intimate situation and now I'm going to violate them by sending it out into internet land. And you know, once it's going to internet, it never goes
One is
away.
on internet land. Mm-hmm.
It
And as we
never
get
goes
older,
away.
these things follow us.
You could delete that
Mm-hmm.
picture all you want. Someone already clipped that, you know.
Saved it.
There you go. And about to spread
Mm-hmm.
it. You never know who's going to purchase it. So it is very, very damaging psychologically. It's very, very damaging for the person's reputation. And you just should not do it at all.
Yep.
It's illegal.
And
You can end up in
you
jail
just
for that.
mentioned it's damaging psychological. Funny enough, that is the third point in my research. Psychological aggression. When you exert control over your partner using verbal or displaying actions to that person with the intent to harm,
Yep. Threats.
mentally or emotionally. And one word for that is, as
Threats.
Hillary was indicating just now, blackmail. Blackmailing someone with photos or conversations that you guys had, that is blackmail.
It's
That
also
is
to
physical aggression.
Yeah, it's also to when it comes to if you don't do this, I'm going to do that. It could be
Mm-hmm.
also one that and I'm very very careful about this because I don't want anyone to think that I don't believe or say that what they're saying is wrong or fake. But if you accuse some person of a physical violence because you're the one who actually is doing it, that's another form of threats. If you don't do this, I'm going to tell people that this happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's a control mechanism. So that one can lead to a lot of destructive outcomes.
See, so that's so you see the physical and the mental of what some people say the emotional. These two are tied together. So the last one from one last point I have is stalking. Repeated unwanted attention. Repeated unwanted attention. This can be by the partner, and that can cause then the whole intention of that is to cause fear in the person. So that also ties in what Hillary was saying earlier. You go in and peeping behind the person at their home to see if they're really cheating. That is stalking. That is
I know some
stalking.
people be like,
And
not grind. I'm not stalking. Yes, you are.
mhm.
Did he know you're there?
Can stalking
Does
be
he know
done
you're
on the
there?
phone as well?
Sorry?
Because we have so much social platforms. Can stalking be done on the phone as well?
Of course. Of course.
Okay.
Stalking, okay, stalking can be done in very, very many different formats. It can
Mm-hmm.
be texting. It can be it can be telephone, telephone tag. It could be that.
Mm-hmm.
It could be emailing. It could be actual in person. There are many different ways that you can stalk a person.
You can be stalking a
I am not
person.
trying to tell people how to stalk people. I'm just telling you there are many different ways of doing it. It's anything where the person does not know you're present and you're making yourself present in their space, their personal area.
Unwanted attention.
Unwanted attention and constant, continuous attention. No, it's. I had one situation where some person shared with me that this person was continuously trying to get in contact with them. And although they said, no, I do not want contact, they continue to try to get their attention. And stalking can be a transitional form of abuse where it leads to violence and even in some situations, death. So it's something should be taken very seriously. It's a new law that It's newer than all the other. Um, well, I shouldn't say that, but it's a newer law, and it's taken extremely seriously. Unfortunately, not every country has a stalking law,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully, as we progress, as a society, we would realize how serious this, especially in teens, how serious it should be taken. And I find that the stalking law addresses it, yes, on a whole, it's very general, but it does not address the stalking when the stalker is a female. It doesn't. I find that that law is written more where the
And
stalking is a male.
I'm gonna pause it there, Hillary. From doing some research by the American Physiological Association,
Mm-hmm.
they had an annual meeting. This was like in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they have it every year, being annual.
Yeah.
Since with COVID and all this, I'm not sure, but I can get that information for you if it still happens.
Mm-hmm.
But they indicated that the boys and girls suffer equal amounts of the
Mm-hmm.
dating violence.
Mm-hmm.
However, the teen girls actually reported that they committed higher rates of dating violence than the teen boys report.
95% of teen
So
females have
why
been
do you
violent.
think that the men don't report theirs? Because we as a society
Mm-hmm.
tell our men
Or
in
boys,
plain terms,
because they
so
started boys
or
first.
teens as they're coming up,
Mm-hmm.
even from like 8, 9, 10,
Before
they
that,
don't cry.
from what happens when a little boy falls? What happens?
Don't cry.
Don't cry, right?
Suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
Step and
Be
go
a
again.
man.
They're not supposed to have these
Little boys
feelings.
don't
They're supposed
cry.
to feel
Only little
emotion.
girls cry, right?
So plain and simple, what we're telling them to do is
Mm-hmm.
man up.
There you go.
Man up.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, I think we have created a problem in itself
Mm-hmm.
where we are telling our young men,
Don't be people.
don't be human.
It
You
is true.
cannot show
Don't show
no
emotion, and then you
emotion.
go, well, why he not emotional? Why he
And
not
then
this? Why? Well, you
when
told him not to be.
they're in their teens, even the simple things like with sports.
Mm-hmm.
Sports is a rough game. Football, cricket, basketball, volleyball. These games are contact sports.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you play like, I think you call it racquetball, when
Mm-hmm.
it's just a one-on-one thing, you get injured, you're not supposed to cry. They want you to man up, suck it up. So you're
But
telling
think
children
about
that
it.
from a very young age,
When you see
and
two boys
then
fighting, what do they say? When they see two boys fighting, people are like, oh, they're trying to
cheering them
get their
on.
aggression out. No,
Mm,
no. And when a little girl cries, oh my God, is she okay? When a
what's
little boy
wrong?
cries, it's considered wrong, and like, what is wrong with you? He's questioned.
Mm-hmm.
What is the messaging, people? What is the message? And so when that happens now to him, where he's being assaulted by a female, a teenager, in a teen relationship, that whole aspect plays out again. If I
Mm-hmm.
go and say something, what's your problem? There's a lot of myths behind the whole thing about men being abused anyways, because we even had people who are like, why are you talking about men getting abused? Women get abused. Yes, and that's talked about because it's okay to talk about that. But it's not okay to talk about men being abused by
The
women.
men been abused.
Yeah, it is something that everybody knows about. It is out there, but we do not acknowledge it enough. It's very rare that you have conversations around it, and that's why we want to tackle it, because we were raw and real, girl. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, continue.
So this creates a pattern because violence is a behavior that children first learn by being a victim of
Yes.
or witness to trauma and the violence. So children can be traumatized even by viewing violent media.
Yeah.
And with our cell phones, Everything is recorded. Everything is posted.
Everything.
People don't get squirmish at things anymore. Everything is posted.
You know
Everything
what's
is out
sad?
there.
You know what's sad? Teen suicide. Okay.
Oh my
And
goodness.
a lot of that sexting or taking the photos and sharing it with different classmates
If
and
others,
whatever,
yeah.
there's proven evidence, there's cases, there's situations where we've heard that the reason why this person committed suicide or
Yes.
what.
All these things have repercussions.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
When you think that it's funny, it's not funny, especially when you're now the reason behind that person thinking that their life is basically over, you
Mhm.
know? And listen, I could go on and on. I keep interrupting Teresa, but I am very, very much an advocate, because that's a form of bullying, by the way. Okay. And I just do not like bullies at all. They are, when a person bully, or the reason why people bully is because they themselves either have been a victim of,
A victim.
yeah, or and what happens is they've now lacked power in their lives, and they're looking to find power from some person else, and that's who they've chosen as their victim. So anyways, continue.
So this have the repercussions, and it impacts on the children's life. It's
Mm-hmm.
lifelong. It impacts on the lifelong health
Yeah.
and their opportunity, because as a teen you're trying to find yourself, find your way,
Yeah.
and there'll be career paths that you will want to choose,
Mm-hmm.
and because of what happened to you when you were younger, it's like, oh, I can't get involved in this because then I have to come out and say what happened. You
Yeah, we
understand?
like to be blind in
So
society a lot.
you we tend to shy away from certain things. Okay?
We shy away from
Because
a lot of things, girl. Come on now. Let's keep it real. But
they tend to shy
I
away
would
from
remember
certain
I
things
was
because they
talking
don't
to you,
want to
but
get involved in stuff. Because if I
yeah.
get involved in stuff, I'm gonna have to expose myself on how I know this.
Well, it's not only
Sometimes
that
that
because
can be healing for the person,
mm-hmm,
but I think it takes time for someone to come out and talk about their experiences that are in a negative light.
but you see, when it comes to abuse or people witnessing abuse, people are very uneasy about witnessing that. They don't know what to do sometimes. And should I get involved physically? No, because
Mm.
you don't know if that's going to make it worse. Again, also, too, you never know if this could be a situation where there's human trafficking involved. Um, you don't
Well,
know
that's
what the
taken
situation
another
is.
level
That's
altogether
another
now.
other another whole conversation. That
That's where the stalking starts to step up.
yeah, you don't know what's really going on. So the best thing to do is to seek resources, be a witness, have information, share the information with either their parent or someone in the community that's a leader, so they can get that teen the help. Never try never to approach unless you see a situation where it's deadly. Then the approach is more of being an eyewitness, because we want you to be safe, stay safe. Do
Mm-hmm.
not get involved physically when abuse is happening. Try to stay safe and get the right people on the scene to do that involvement, because we want
Yeah,
you again to
get
be
the
safe.
professionals involved.
But
Okay, the next,
yeah, go
okay,
on. No, I
the
was going to
next
say, sorry,
one.
I was going to say, I know I keep interrupting you. I was like, do you remember, I think I told you about the whole when I was a kid, I remember hearing them say, oh, if a girl likes a guy, she'll hit him. And I witnessed it.
Yeah.
I've witnessed it where it was like a girl will come thump the guy in the back, and this is like little kids, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the parent like, oh, she likes him, that's why she hit him.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the kid's like this,
Mm-hmm. I like
and
it.
he's trying so
Well, let's
hard
bring
not to cry.
them back.
He's trying so hard not to cry, because if he cries, he's gonna be ridiculed. Okay, so it starts
Again.
then, as well as anyways.
Mm-hmm. Mhm. I think one of the terms that Hillary was looking for there is throw stones where your life lies. That's
Mm,
one of the things that he used to say as
girl,
well.
let me tell you something, huh? Sometimes because I had a situation where I was in a workshop and um, this we were talking about passion. I'm always about passion and purpose. And we were talking about passion and purpose, and I explained why people dismiss their passion a lot. They'll say, "Oh, it's easy," or "I did it," or "You can do it too," or etc.
Value.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we're like, "Wow, that's amazing," and that makes some people uncomfortable when you say it's amazing. No, Teresa's smiling because I did that to her. Okay, and so what has happened in their childhood? What has happened is someone told them that their passion was nothing, and it's very, very easy and simple to do because I give the example of Johnny, where Johnny is, you know, painting on
Poor
mommy's
Johnny.
wall or daddy's wall.
Mm-hmm.
And the parent comes out and is like, "What are you doing?" And they scold the kid for painting on the wall. What you just did was tell an artist that what he's doing is garbage. So, you know, he's like, you know, we, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just going to,
There and then you be isolating the talent.
there you go. Right. So, in that moment, you're thinking, yeah, I don't want anyone to, paint on my wall. I want to teach him structure yeah, there's another way. Go get some chalkboard paint,
Mm-hmm.
square off an area of the wall that you can afford, or even a board, or even get a canvas from the dollar store. Come on now, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and make that his little canvas and say, you paint on that at that time. So the example was the lady, her daughter wanted to be a nurse. And you know what she said to the daughter? She said, "But you don't like blood though. You're not going to be a nurse." Right there, you just told that
Wow.
kid her dream, her passion, and what she thought that she could be is not valid. And then she wondered why the kid was having a certain reaction after, because one, their kids are young adults, or they're growing to adults, and two, they're people, and three, you just told a person that they're not good enough. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
why people dismiss their passion. So anyways, we gotta take a little break, girl, because we're still trying to come up. So we got a time limit there. Anyways,
Yeah.
we'll be right.
So
Don't laugh at me, Teresa.
let's do a quick recap on this
Yeah, yeah,
first
do
part.
that.
We have a little
Because
time.
we're gonna come back and talk about the
Okay.
sexual part and some solutions.
Yeah. The physical abuse, the four things that we came up with was physical, which is the use of force, sexual, which is forcing someone to take part in any sexual activity, whether it's from sharing pictures, whether it's from sex texting.
Mm-hmm.
The psychological aggression was another one, exerting control over a person, whether it's
Yeah.
verbal or displaying your actions to someone, like if you're gonna harm them, basically blackmail.
Yes.
And the fourth one was stalking, unwanted attention by a partner that causes fear to that person. And we came to see that with those four, they can be they can have lifelong repercussions. Okay?
Okay.
So remember that stalking, psychological aggression, sexual abuse, and physical abuse. Those are the four main domestic violence, or what they're calling now intimate partner violence.
And they all bridge with emotional abuse as well, because
Mm-hmm.
through the violence, a lot of different psychological damage is done.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will be right back with more hot tea with pleasure.
Lectures.
Yes. And Teresa, do you know when I come back? Don't laugh at me. I'm joking.
Oh,
We'll be right back, everybody.
that's how we enjoy each other's space. See you soon.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win at life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win at life. I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, push hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel, I took a red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real, but how's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? They wanna say my name, but they hold it back. They wanna say they hate, but they know it's cap. I ain't play no game.
Are you getting the dancing
Oh,
group, Hillary?
yeah. Try to dance. Well, welcome back. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Here we are
Hello.
again. It's a hard topic. We try to put a little spin to it and keep it light where we can share the information and you're not uncomfortable. But we don't take any of this as a laughing matter. We're very, very serious. I myself is an abused woman. And so I am very, very much advocate for preventing domestic violence or intimate partner violence at any cost. And when I say any cost, I mean advocating it through information as well as workshop webinars, however I can get the information out there. No type of violence is ever okay. Abuse is never okay. And again, when a person comes to you and tell you that they're in an abusive relationship, believe them first and foremost, and then go from there. And unfortunately, they have some people out there that do who are the abuser and might come and say, "I am being abused," because that's another tactic as well. Don't get involved in the part of where you're inserting yourself. It's more of seeking resources, getting professional help to help that person or situation and work things out. So we're going to continue the conversation. We had Teresa talking about the mental, which is psychological damage, as well abuse, as well as the physical abuse. And now we're going to go into more of the sexual side. Teresa, did you have anything else to to finish off there, or do you want me to go into the sexual
In
side?
terms of mental abuse, I can give you one description. The include emotional or mental abuse is when a child is repeatedly made to feel humiliated,
Mm-hmm.
worthless, unloved, alone,
Yep.
scared.
And that happens in the
Those
teen.
of emotional or what we call emotional mental abuse.
Yeah, and they call it dating violence or dating abuse when it comes to teens, um, and when it is such it's a disservice that we do to our young boys, or young men when we dismiss their emotions or we belittle their situations. Simple thing as saying, "Oh, come on, be a man," or come on, it's a girl. She hit you. So what? Deal with it. You know, dismissing that. Unfortunately, one in three men have been in an abused situation, young boys, whether it be physical, sexual, or emotional, which is a high rate. And as we said earlier, 95% of the aggressor is a female. So let's get into the sexual side. Now, I want to talk about some myths because I am very much about I don't like stereotypes. Teresa knows this. I just don't like them. Okay, so one, oh, so one stereotype that we have is that the first one, and I hear this. Unfortunately, when we did the first link, someone messaged and said it, and I was like, okay, I had to be really nice and handle it in a nice way. So the first myth is that that boys or men can't be sexually abused. Yeah,
They can.
they can. Any person can be sexually abused or or used. Um, so, and all of his, obviously, it follows with, well, he's not a real man. As what a girl forced herself on you, and you couldn't handle it. Oh, you can't handle your thing. Handle your stuff. Handle your business. It's dismissed, right? So that's a myth. Yes, men can be abused. Young boys can be abused. Teenagers can be abused by women. Yes, it can happen. Okay. And we do have that aspect where it's male on male abuse. We're not dismissing it, we're not belittling it. We're just talking right now about a particular part of abuse that's not really advocated or spoken about because it is not something that is discussed a lot in society, and we wanted to tackle it. So do not write us and say, hey, you're not talking about females or you're not talking about male on male. Yes, understood, but this is because we're centering in on this particular subject. Next thing is blaming. Blame. That's next one. Oh, it's his fault. He did it. You know, you got arousal anyways. You got aroused when you were getting penetrated. You got sorry, when you were penetrating her. You got aroused when this happened, when she sat on it. You got aroused when she touched it. Men get aroused when they get up in the morning. Don't mean he wants you.
Yeah, goes to sleep.
Yeah, wind blows. You know, it happens. And so arousal does not mean consent, first of all. Okay. The same way you would give the same messaging to your daughters about consensual sex. The boys also need that to say,
That's a
hey, if she
message.
touches you there, or if, you know, she rubs against you and you don't like it, it's not okay. And we do not have those conversations with our boys. What do we tell our boys, Teresa? Man up.
Nana.
Man up, okay? The next one is sexual abuse is less harmful to males than to females. No, that's wrong because abuse is abuse. Assault is assault. Doesn't matter what it is. It's a person being hurt and harmed, unwanted touching, penetration. It could be any form of sexual abuse. And to say that because this person is male, he does not experience the same thing as a female is just ridiculous. You know, only gay men are sexually abused. That is wrong. That is completely wrong. 40% of gay men, yeah, are sexually abused. 47 of bisexual men, but 21% of straight men are sexually assaulted. So we cannot dismiss it. And when the aggressor is a teenage girl, do not tell your sons, oh, how was your first time? If he comes to you and say, you know, we were together, you know, she put her hand in my pants. I really didn't want that. Right there, right there in that moment, you have a choice. Do you did you listen carefully and start asking questions, or do you start to congratulate him? You know, think of the messaging. The next one, this one is is just as it goes along with what I just said. When a male is abused by a female, what do you hear? Oh, you got lucky. Come on, people. You got lucky. That's what you're going to tell a kid. And if he doesn't feel that way, then he's made to feel that something's wrong, like he did, you know, he's bad
Mhm.
or he did something wrong. So that messaging, again, societal belief that
Yeah.
men cannot be assaulted or abused is a reason why that myth exists. And the last one that we talked about, we're it's a very serious one. It's a very thin line, and I'm going to be very cautious about how I say this. Male survivors will abuse others. Now, there's two parts to this. One, that's not necessarily true because, yes, a lot of people that do have or repeat offenders or do or offenders of sexual abuse on children or do have history of being sexually abused themselves, but it does not mean that most boys who are sexually abused will abuse. Most adult men that go for help as they get older that were sexually abused do not repeat the offense.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference, right? So that's one part I wanted to talk about, the myths, and then I wanted to go into the signs, because we as parents, again, unfortunately, there's a lot of stereotype about boys and what they should do and not do and behave, and aggression is something that's taught to them. As Teresa mentioned earlier about the sports
Mm-hmm.
activities. So I'm going to tell you a few things that you can probably, a few signs that you see in your child or his girlfriend, that or partner, that might be a little bit of a red flag. Disrespecting, being disrespectful in front of you, especially, you know, calling him a bitch, for example, taunting him, acting superior, entitled, you know, relying on intimidation. That's a big one. Trying to intimidate him in front of other people. Lack of empathy. Something's happened to him. Belittle it. A lot of jealousy and wanting to isolate and spend a lot of time. Like every time they want to be
Yeah.
together all the time. And clapping my hand because that's what heavens. All the time. Always want to be together. Like you call your kid and you're like, okay, let's go out on Saturday. Oh, well, she wants to come with us. Okay. Let's say that's fine. You invite the girlfriend, but she's on him, holding on to him. You know, that's a sign of control. There's some aggression, intimidation going
Physical
on.
aggression.
Yep, and those are telltale signs. And then, of course, the verbal abuse. That's a big red flag. Red flag. Now, if I told you that 1 in 5 teen boys have been raped, what would you tell me? What would you say?
No.
Yeah. People won't believe it. 1 in 5 teen boys have been raped, and it's through threats and physical, being physically forced into sex, taken advantage of what being intoxicated. That's a big one. A lot of college kids do experience this. So those are ways you can tell that your son might be in a
Abusive relationship.
abusive relationship. And I, you know, unfortunately, I know a lot about this in that, I worked in those kind of communities and environments and do a lot of, the workshops and everything like that and get a lot of feedback. I'm trying so hard. I'm stumbling on words because I'm trying hard not to say names or situations so that people might feel offended that I share their story. So I'm trying to generalize it as I go, but it is something that is so common that we continuously dismiss it, right? And we know about it, by the way. We all know about it. We know some kid that we saw, his girlfriend thumped him or something like that, and we just, whatever. They're kids, they're teens. Now, recognizing the warning signs is one thing, but then the question is, what do you do, Teresa? Like, how do you get involved? What do you say? How do you protect your child? Especially as a teen boy, where
You build, for me, I think you build that relationship where they
yes,
can come to
definitely.
you.
Definitely. You have to really build that relationship. And it's very tough when it's a teen boy, especially, and, society is telling him to man up and you're telling him to man up. And I'm not saying all parents say it, so don't call me or write me. I'm saying that that's the average and generalized reaction. A lot of peer pressure, a lot of bullying, and and a lot of tough situations where these boys do not have an out. I was during the first link, remember, Teresa, when we tried to find in Barbados, we were trying to find a particular specific place for men that are being abused,
Mm-hmm.
and we couldn't find one. I think we found one within the police.
Mm-hmm. Just the police force. I think they have it about the family unit.
Yeah.
In terms of how on the international market has different bodies set up generally for abuse, whether it's male abuse, female abuse, or family abuse.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that. I don't know about the other Caribbean islands, but we don't have that particular body you can go to. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have that hotline number that you can specifically call this party for it, this group for it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas overseas, when we were doing our research, there were a number of places that was specifically for
Yes.
that type of situation.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate. And I hope that as you know, as we grow older as a society, and you know, a lot of the newer generations start to take over the airwaves,
Take
that
over.
yes, a lot of matters going on, girl. I think that the more we advocate about it, the more we're not uncomfortable talking about it. That's where things will get a little bit better and people start getting more educated around this particular subject. Now, before time runs out on us, I want to talk about some solutions or some ways of helping. One is recognizing the signs and trying to end it before it starts. You know,
And that's
helping
basically
your
know what to look for.
yep, and
Just
helping your teen realize the warning signs is a good way. You know, have it's hard to ask kids to reach out because there's so much pressure, so much peer pressure, but you know, trust, as Teresa said, creating that trusted bond between the parent or even some person that they trust or they listen to, having them reach out to them is another way of preventing it to continue. And discussing the good and bads about relationship is another way. Teaching them how to be assertive, not aggressive, is a great way. And then talking about healthy and unhealthy behaviors, and that, and then the word secret. I hate that word. So, secret. There's no secrets. You know, and you have to be very honest with your kid. I have a conversation with my kids every Friday, and I will say to my kids, "What can I do better to be a better parent?" And it opened up the conversation for them to be honest and raw and talk to me about anything. And sometimes they talk about things I don't want to know about, girl. I'm
you
like,
asked.
I know, yeah. That's
You
what I'm like.
asked.
I don't want to know about that, you know. But I'm glad that they feel comfortable enough to speak to me
To
about it
come out and
because
speak to you about it.
exactly, because when I see certain things, I can have those conversations with them,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, when to get involved when it becomes so dangerous. Um, or you know, you see sleeping patterns, eating habits, mood swings. Those are telltale signs that something is wrong. Grades are dropping.
Looking to
The
commit
school is calling and
suicide.
telling you about the arguments in the hallway. You know,
Mm.
that that's a telltale sign. And girls, keep your hands to yourself. Okay, you know, this is a way where they're that person is feeling less powerful, and this is the way they take the power back. This is the way they've been taught of how to show their emotions and aggressively. And so this message goes out to all my ladies out there and my little girls. It is not okay to hit a guy and thinking that, oh, you know, he's not supposed to hit me back, or what, I just slapped him, what's the big deal? It is a huge deal
It is
because
a
you
big
do not
deal.
know what that person is dealing with psychologically. Do not, and then also too, you could hit them in the wrong spot and cause more damage than you then you know. So keep your hands to yourself. If you are that upset, that emotionally hurt, you need to seek professional help, walk away from the situation, and it's never, never okay to abuse anyone. Well, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is teaching your sons about the word consent. And we always have that conversation. There are commercials and everything about, touching her is not okay. Touching him is not okay either. Okay. If the girl goes and put her hands in the boy's pants, don't tell your son, "Oh, did she get a good feel?" No. If he does not want that, it is not consensual. Girls, you still have to ask for permission. You cannot be going and putting your hands where they do not belong. It is not yours. Okay? Be open with the conversations. Be very, very open with the conversations, please. We're not going to become private parts. They're called penis and vaginas. Okay. Be very
No worries.
open. Be very, very open and help them to understand physical responses. So I try to get through as much of that as possible quickly so that we can have a little more discussion around this. I, I, you know me, I'm an advocate for survivors of abuse, and I want to make sure that our teens know that those kind of behaviors are very, very not okay. There's one show, I can't remember the name of it, but I think it really displays teen abuse. Um, oh, I think it's called Euphoria. I think it's called Euphoria, and
I'm not
you can
familiar.
catch it. I think it's on Netflix.
I know there's a book, and I think it's a book written by a Canadian, The Invincible Boy.
Yeah, Invincible Boy. Yeah,
The Invincible Boy
that's a good one. That's a
back
good
in,
one. But
this
to
is
see
very
it
old,
live, to see,
1996.
yeah,
They have it in film.
mm-hmm, to visually see
Okay.
the abuse, uh, check out Euphoria. I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying, check it out. And there is a character in there that is very physically abusive to her boyfriend. She uses psychological warfare, physical violence, and it drives him to a point where he's dealing with other things, and just the aggression that comes out of him, and now he's being aggressive towards other people, and not people not knowing why is he being so aggressive, and that's because he's in an abusive relationship. And at one point she accuses him of abuse, and so beyond the scope that it was. So I just I just want us to be okay. I want us to learn to use our mouths, not for
The words.
verbiage either, but to be assertive and to explain yourself. If you cannot handle a situation, walk away from it. And if you are a teen boy in an abusive situation, reach out to
Relationship.
different organizations in your community, reach out to your parents. If you do not have that kind of relationship with your parents, there's someone that you know that you can talk to. Reach out to that person and get help. Rain here in Canada, I think is RAINN. They do a great job on supporting young boys when it comes to abusive situations, whether they've been abused by a family member, male on male, or females. They do a really great job on that. So we will put all those links in
Mm-hmm.
the description. And we. Do you have anything else to add, Teresa? Because I.
No, no, nothing to add, but just, we need to build that relationship where we can communicate with
Yeah.
our sons.
Yeah.
We need to build that relationship. And once we have that relationship with our sons where they can come out and speak
Mm-hmm.
about anything or speak on anything. And I like the idea that you put so that you do with your family, that every Friday
Mm-hmm.
they'll have this sit down discussion. Because I remember sometimes on Friday I called Hillary and it's like, oh, we have to talk later. Me and my boys having a movie night. And I really applaud you on that.
Oh, thanks.
And she don't have teenage boys.
Oh,
She
they're not
has
teenagers
young
anymore.
men.
They're young men. They're
They're
20 and
always,
24. But at the same
they're
time,
always
I
going
went
to
for the
see
teenage girl. Girl.
them.
Mm.
Maybe one day or one evening, when we're on the podcast, they will come and introduce themselves.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you see, they come and introduce themselves. No, there was one, the eldest one.
Yeah.
There was one when we did the funny clip.
Yeah,
He
he
was
was in the
over your
background.
shoulder. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he
he's
was
our
over your
tech.
shoulder.
Okay. Now, I just want to drop a couple of percentages out there that is on all online, so don't write me. 43% of boys in high school are victims of unwanted sexual experiences, and 95% of the time the aggressor is a female. 43%. Yeah. But yet we do not have the open conversation around that. When we do have it, it is very rare, as I said. And so, and people lack remorse. Yeah, they lack empathy towards these situations. They don't show a genuine emotion or even concern, or even recognize or acknowledge the feelings of the young men. And we have to really, really start doing that. We,
I was looking at a clip and it said in Vancouver,
mm-hmm,
some youth in each gender were exploited by women, with more than 3 out of 4,
mm-hmm,
so like what, 79% sexually exploited males, reporting exchanging sex for money or goods.
yeah,
That was another one thing. I think Elizabeth, I can't really pronounce the name correctly, but she's an associate professor of nursing at the University of British Columbia
mm-hmm,
and also a principal investigator for the studies that was done in Vancouver.
yeah,
Vancouver.
yeah. And you know that 1 in every 5 young men have been raped. I think I said that earlier, right?
Mm.
And so this is why another reason we really have to advocate that it's okay to have those conversations and it's okay to reach out and it's okay. Shame. I'm going to say it a million times over. Shame is one of the main reasons people stay in abusive situations because they do not have the out or the strength or the emotional support or the emotional know-how or even the words to describe or to advocate for themselves. So shame is something that a lot of young boys deal with. They don't want to be taunted by their peers or by their parents or by their community and saying, you're a wimp or, you're a puss, you know what?
And don't
Right.
blame yourself.
Don't blame
Blame
yourself.
yourself.
It is not your fault that these things are happening. But you do need to reach out for help. Uh, Verbal abuse, when in teen girls and boys situation, verbal abuse and isolation and envy and jealousy seems to be the number one target way have is kind of the red flag area where you actually start actually seeing it. It's like, wait, why is she being so aggressive towards him? Why is, like, for example, he says, oh, I don't feel so good today, oh, you don't, oh, poor baby, and being condescending, you know in front of the parent, in front of others, belittling him, slapping him, pinching, threatening, using. There's even some situation where entrapment happens where sex is used to get impregnated
Mm.
and then so to control the male. I'm not saying that that's what happened in all teen sex. Do not write me. I'm just telling you about the boys that do experience this. This is some of the ways that has happened to them, and we have to provide them with the resources that
Resources that they
yeah
need to do.
they need to be able to reach out. One last thing I'm going to talk about is intimidation and acting superior and entitled. Now, me and Teresa did a skit last time, and everyone loved the skit because it kind of showed them. And I think that's where people realized. Like one lady said, "Wow, I never realized that that was abuse." You know, she said, "I do that," but she didn't realize it was abuse. So we're gonna do a real quick skit um, about teen abuse can happen, or what it might look like, and how society can easily dismiss it or belittle it because you know, man up, you know. So do you want to be the girl or the guy?
Okay.
The guy. Okay,
Mhm.
go.
I
You be
can't
the
go
guy.
to.
Why you always be the guy?
I can't go to the movies tonight. I
What do
have
you
I
mean?
have I have practice.
What do you mean? Wait. So practice is
I
more
have
important.
practice. I have a game. I have a
I'm
game this weekend.
speaking though.
I'm telling you, I can't
I'm
go. So
speaking though. You never listen to anything I say.
I
Oh
have
my god.
practice.
What?
I have practice. I have a big game
Oh,
this
so your
weekend.
game is better. Oh, so I get it. Okay. Do you then? Okay. Well, I'm gonna go fuck somebody
What
else.
you
How about
mean,
that?
do me? We
I'm
been
gonna
talk
I'm
last
gonna
week,
go
and we
against.
been talk mid-week.
You see what you do to me? You see what you did to me,
Oh,
right?
the guys are calling me. They're gonna go.
Wow. Oh,
They're
you know
gonna
what?
go.
Go on.
I'm 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 sorry.
Go on
I'll
with your
make it
little
up to
bitch
you.
self. Go, go.
I'll
Cause
make
you're
it up to you. I'll make it up to you. They
okay.
gotta
I'm
go.
speaking though.
I gotta go. I gotta run.
Okay.
I gotta run. I
I
got my bag. I gotta run.
do.
I
Okay.
gotta run.
I did. Okay. If you leave right now, we're done. How about that?
Okay, say
I'm
what you
gonna
want to
tell.
say. Say what you want to say.
Are you raising your voice at me? I'm going to tell my mother exactly what you did. I'm going to tell everybody what you do. And
Oh
remember those
gosh,
pictures?
look.
Remember those pictures that you sent me your little tiny little self? You know those pictures? I'm going to put them
No,
all
you're
over the
not.
internet. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Nothing.
But
Shut up.
it's not
Shut
what
up.
I'm gonna
Shut
do.
up.
That's
Shut
illegal.
up.
It is
Shut up.
illegal.
Why are you talking though?
I gotta
Why are you
go.
talking?
I definitely
Why
gotta
are you
go. This is,
talking?
I gotta go. I gotta go. The guys are calling me. I gotta go. Look at
Okay.
it this way. You get the
You
opportunity to
do
come and
you,
watch me
boo.
play a game.
You do you. You do you. You know what? You do you. I know exactly what I'm gonna do to you. How about that?
Is that how it's gonna be?
That's what it is.
That's how it's gonna be. Okay.
Mm.
Well, guys, I think I'm gonna have to go. I'm
No,
gonna
I
have to
think you're gonna
skip
stay. How
practice.
about that?
I think I have to skip practice.
That's right.
Coach would just put me on the bench and I'll
I
be a
know because you
sub. I
love
think
me.
I just
That's why
skip
you did
practice.
it. And
Oh god.
scene. And in that moment, you see that, and people are like, oh, they're having an argument. There's so much intimidation, so much disrespect happening, so much belittling, empathy. Like Teresa, how did you feel?
Intimidated.
Sorry?
Intimidated.
Intimidated,
I
not
didn't get a word.
heard, right?
Not word.
Disrespected and
You say you love
controlled.
the person, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it there.
There you go.
I didn't see it there.
Well, I hope.
As we were saying earlier,
Mm-hmm.
the verbal abuse, psychological aggression,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that came out there as well.
Yeah.
There was no physical, but the threats, the verbal threats, the blackmail,
Mm-hmm.
that came out. There was no stalking, but abuse doesn't have to be those four all together.
Mm-hmm.
Abuse can be any one of those.
Yep.
Any one of those. It
Any
doesn't
of
have
them.
abuse is not physical, always can be emotional. And guarantee whenever it's emotional, it plays on your psyche.
Yeah.
It plays on your
And
psyche.
the number one reason for, uh, unfortunately, a lot of kids don't advocate for themselves and end up using suicide as an escape, as an out. And if you know someone who's suicidal, please, please, please call the suicide hotline. Get involved by informing someone and getting them the help they need. Well, Teresa, that was a heavy one. It was a heavy one for the teens. It's a really
I
heavy
think
one.
more topics like this here, we
Hmm.
not just abuse, but more topics like this. So we're going to do some research and
Yeah.
we're going to start to bring to the forum.
And also, we talk about our
Hot
experiences as
tea with
well
pleasure is
because
not just about lubrication,
not
but
always about lubrication,
brings
girl. Because we have that product
to
coming
the
out in the
forum.
summertime, right? But we're listen. We're both about to push the big 50. We looking for age, huh? But we've had a lot of experiences, good and bad, and we've taken all of that and put it into a little loop and call it Hot Pleasures, Hot Tea with Pleasures. And we hope that you join us again next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I am Hillary in Ontario, Canada.
And I am Teresa in beautiful island of Barbados.
Yep. Keep it moist, people. Keep it moist. And again, for anyone out there in an abusive relationship, seek help. We are going to put some links into the description and tell someone, advocate for those who are around them. And if you see someone in an abusive relationship, get involved by being a witness or getting them help or
Get help.
reaching out. And if they come to you, believe them first and go from there. So, again, Hot Tea with Pleasures. Like, comment, and subscribe. We are on YouTube, Instagram, and on Twitter.
And Twitter.
All right. Well, Teresa, nice seeing you again, hon.
Lubricate your life until then. Keep it raw
Until
and
then,
real.
see you next Saturday.
See you
Cheers.
next
Oh,
Saturday.
and Teresa, good luck on tomorrow. Or
Yes,
it's
yes. I will
sorry,
do
it'll
some
be today
videos
because
that
it's
you can
recorded.
see. I'll do some videos that you can see.
Yeah. And what is it? Where you're going again?
And Queen's Park. Queen's Park Grounds. It's in the heart of the city,
Barbados.
Barbados.
Yes. And what is happening there?
It's a display of things agriculture.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it's a display of things
Well,
agriculture.
Teresa,
The topics they were talking about on the news today as well. It's
yeah.
like the Caribbean coming together so that we can, especially with COVID, we got 3 minutes left.
Yeah,
Especially with
I'm,
COVID,
I'm trying to cut you short.
it's the Caribbean coming together
Let's talk about you.
and
Let's talk about you.
using our
Reset
resources.
Nicole.
So
Reset Nicole and
it's
spa.
a greener together.
Yes.
It's a greener together, and I'll be displaying my products there. I'll be also doing mini massages, and I'm asking for all my emergency personnel, which are like the policemen, the medics, the paramedics, the firemen. We're asking you all to come out and be pampered. This is your time. You're also going to cater for the others, but in this pandemic time, we know that our medical team, we know that our emergency services, we know that these personnel really got in there and was working 24 hours, 7 days a week, little sleep, little to eat.
We gotta
So
go.
therefore, we need you to come. We
She's
need you to
passionate. She's
come on
passionate. The
down.
passion is shining, baby. All right.
We
We'll
need you
see you
guys to
next
come
Saturday,
on
everyone.
down.
Thank you so much for listening in. Hot Tea with Pleasures, and we'll lubricate your life. Cheers. Bye,
See you. Bye
Teresa.
bye.
To win at life, I never miss, that's facts. Taking big swings, hand me the bat. Put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag. Cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel. I took a red pill. I know life's short, so I wanna live real. But how's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to